I want you to be completely honest with yourself for a second. Think back to 3, maybe 4 years ago. Remember when you were making significantly less money than you are right now? Remember sitting there looking at your bank account, doing the mental math, and thinking to yourself, man, if I could just make $80,000, or if I could just cross that magical $100,000 mark, all my problems would disappear. I'd be able to invest, I'd take nice vacations, I'd never stress about paying the electric bill. So you put your head down, you worked late, you grounded out, you got the promotion, or you switched jobs. Fast forward to today, you finally hit that income goal. You're making the money you used to dream about. But you log into your banking app the day before payday and you see a balance of $114. You're making more money than you ever have in your entire life, yet somehow you feel exactly as broke as you did when you were making 50 grand. You're still sweating when your car makes a weird noise. You're still waiting for Friday's direct deposit to clear before you pay off your credit card. That's literally you, isn't it? Look, don't feel bad, but we need to talk about why this is happening, because it's not an accident. It's a mathematical and psychological trap that is perfectly designed to keep you broke no matter how high your salary goes. My name is Billy, and I spend way too much time thinking about the psychology of money and why smart people do incredibly dumb things with their paychecks. If you're someone who makes good money but feels like you have absolutely nothing to show for it at the end of the month, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Here's the thing. Society has sold you a massive lie. The financial industry, your parents, your college professors, they all hammered this one specific belief into your brain. Your financial problems are an income problem. We are taught that the cure to financial stress is simply making more money. But I'm here to tell you right now that is completely false. Making more money does not solve your money problems. In fact, for most people, making more money actually amplifies their bad habits and creates entirely new, much more expensive problems. If you take someone who is terrible at managing $4,000 a month and you suddenly give them $10,000 a month, you don't get a financially stable person. You just get a broke person with a nicer apartment and a more expensive leased car. Why? Because of a little known concept called Parkinson's law. Let's rewind for a second. In 1955, a British historian named Cyril Northcote Parkinson wrote an essay for The Economist. He was analyzing bureaucracies, but he coined a phrase that became absolutely legendary. Parkinson's law states, work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. Think about when you were in college. If the professor gave you 2 weeks to write a 10-page paper, how long did it take you? 2 weeks. You researched for a week, outlined for a few days, procrastinated, and wrote it on the last night. But what if that same professor looked at you and said, I need a 10-page paper by tomorrow morning? What happens? You drink 3 Red Bulls, lock yourself in the library, and you get it done in 12 hours. The task was exactly the same, but the time expanded or contracted based on the boundaries you were given. Well, this exact same psychological phenomenon applies perfectly to your finances. Parkinson's law of money states expenses rise to meet income. No matter how much money you make, your lifestyle will naturally and automatically inflate to consume every single dollar of that income unless you actively force it not to. It is an invisible force. It is gravity for your bank account. Let's look at the data. In the first quarter of 2026, the cost of living hasn't exactly plummeted. Yes, inflation finally cooled down to around 2.4% year over year, but that's compounding on top of the massive 20% spike we saw between 2021 and 2024. Prices didn't go back down, they just stopped going up as fast. But here's the statistic that absolutely blows my mind. According to a massive Q1 2026 consumer finance report, and this includes data from major institutions like Lending Club and the Fed, a shocking 61% of Americans earning over $100,000 a year are currently living paycheck to paycheck. Let me repeat that. More than 6 out of 10 people making 6 figures are one missed paycheck away from total financial disaster. Furthermore, the average new car payment in early 2026 just crossed $815 a month, and credit card debt in the US is sitting at a record $1.35 trillion. People are making more nominal dollars than ever before in history, and they are drowning. And I hear the excuses every single day in my comments section. Now you might be thinking, Billy, come on, inflation is crazy. Groceries cost a fortune. Housing is unaffordable. It's not my fault I'm broke. The system is rigged. Okay, I hear you. The system is flawed. Eggs cost more. Rent is high. I will absolutely validate that systemic inflation is a real painful problem. But, and please hear me on this, I look at hundreds of budgets a month from viewers just like you. And while inflation accounts for some of your financial pain, it does not explain why you bought a $55,000 Toyota 4Runner at 7.5% interest. interest. Inflation doesn't explain why you're spending $800 a month on DoorDash and Uber Eats. Inflation doesn't explain why you felt the need to move from a perfectly fine $1,500 apartment into a $2,400 luxury building just because it has a rooftop gym you've used twice. That is not the government. That is not the Fed. That is Parkinson's law of money at work in your life. Let's run the numbers because I want to show you exactly how insidious this is. Let's take a hypothetical guy. We'll call him Dave. In 2022, Dave was making $60,000 a year. Now, most people think $60,000 means you have $5,000 a month to spend. Wrong. After federal taxes, state taxes, FICA, and let's say a minimal 3% 401k contribution, Dave is bringing home roughly $3,800 a month. How is Dave living? Well, his rent is $1,300 for a decent one bedroom. He drives a used Honda Civic that's paid off, so he just pays $100 for insurance. He spends $400 on groceries. He spends $200 going out with friends. Utilities and subscriptions take up $300. He's got a $300 student loan payment. Total core expenses, $2,600. Dave actually has about $1,200 of disposable income left over every month. He feels a little tight, but he's surviving. He saves a little, spends a little. Now, let's fast forward to Q1 2026. Dave has hustled, he got promoted, changed companies, and now he makes $120,000 a year. He literally doubled his income. Dave thinks to himself, I am rich. My income doubled, therefore my wealth is going to skyrocket. Here's what most people don't realize. Dave's take-home pay did not double. Because of our progressive tax system, Dave is now in a higher tax bracket. More of his money is subject to the 22% and 24% federal brackets. After taxes, FICA, and that same 3% retirement contribution, Dave's take-home pay is roughly $6,800 a month. So his gross income increased by $5,000 a month, but his net in his pocket income only increased by $3,000 a month. But Dave's brain doesn't do net math. Dave's brain does gross math. Dave feels like a six-figure baller. So what does Dave do? He says, I'm making $120,000 now. I can't be living in this basic apartment. So he upgrades to a luxury downtown loft. Rent goes from $1,300 to $2,500. He says, I can't be pulling up to my director level job in a 2016 Honda Civic. So he goes to the dealership. He finances a brand new Tesla or a nice SUV. Now he has an $800 car payment, plus his insurance jumped to $200 because it's a new expensive car. He stops meal prepping because his job is more stressful. Groceries and eating out jump from $600 total to $1,500 a month because he's buying $18 salads for lunch and treating his friends to rounds of drinks on the weekend. He decides he needs a better wardrobe for the new job, $300 a month on average. He takes a nicer vacation, $400 a month saved toward travel. Let's add up Dave's new expenses. Rent, $2,500, car plus insurance, $1,000, food, dining, $1,500, student loans, $300, utilities, subscriptions, $400, clothes, miss, $300, vacation fund, $400, total out the door, $6,400. Dave is bringing home $6,800 and spending $6,400. He has $400 left over. When Dave was making $60,000, he had $1,200 of breathing room every month. Now that Dave is making $120,000, he has $400 of breathing room. Dave doubled his salary, and he is mathematically, tangibly, and visibly broker than he was 4 years ago. And heaven forbid Dave's new car needs new tires, or he gets invited to a destination wedding. Dave is going to have to put that on his credit card. A guy making $120,000 a year is racking up credit card debt at 24% interest to pay for a flight to Cabo. This is Parkinson's law of money in its purest form. The income expanded and the expenses sprinted to catch up. Let me give you two analogies to help you visualize exactly how this happens without you even noticing. First, think about a goldfish. If you buy a tiny little goldfish at the pet store and put it in a small glass bowl on your desk, it will stay about an inch or two long. Its biology instinctively limits its growth based on its environment. But if you take that exact same fish and drop it into a massive 100-gallon aquarium, it will grow to be massive. The fish expands to fit the size of the tank. Your lifestyle is the goldfish. Your income is the tank. Unless you put a glass divider in the middle of that big tank to keep the fish in a specific area, it will consume all the space. Second analogy, think about how you drive your car. When you have a full tank of gas, how do you drive? You accelerate hard onto the highway, you pass people, you run the AC on full blast. You're not thinking about fuel efficiency at all because the needle points to F. But what happens when that little yellow low fuel light dings and the dashboard says 20 miles to empty? Your behavior changes instantly. You turn off the AC, you roll the windows up to reduce drag, you accelerate like a grandma, you coast down hills, you become the most hyper-efficient driver on the planet. When you get a raise, your brain registers a full tank of gas. You stop looking at price tags. You stop asking if you really need something. You just hit the gas pedal. You only start coasting and restricting when you see that your bank account is at $114 the day before payday. This is where it gets really interesting because it's easy to look at the math and say, well, Dave is just stupid. I wouldn't do that. But you do. We all do. And it's not because you're unintelligent. It's because evolutionary psychology and modern marketing have teamed up to absolutely destroy your willpower. Let's talk about the psychological drivers behind this. First, there is the hedonic treadmill. Humans are wired to quickly adapt to any changes in their environment. When you first get that nice apartment, the dopamine hit is incredible. You walk in, look at the granite countertops, and you feel amazing. But how long does that last? 6 weeks? 2 months? After a few months, it's no longer your amazing luxury apartment. It's just where you live. The thrill is gone, the dopamine baseline has reset, but the $2,500 rent payment, that stays forever. So, to get that high again, you have to buy something else, a nicer couch, a bigger TV, a new car. You are running on a treadmill, spending more and more energy, money, just to stay in the exact same place emotionally. Next is something called the Diderot effect. Denis Diderot was an 18th century French philosopher. He lived most of his life in poverty, but one day, Catherine the Great of Russia heard he was broke and basically gave him a massive fortune. Shortly after getting rich, Diderot bought a beautiful, incredibly expensive scarlet robe, a dressing gown. It was gorgeous, but as soon as he brought this beautiful robe into his messy, cheap apartment, something happened. He realized his old desk looked like garbage next to his new robe. So he bought a new, expensive desk. Then he realized his chairs didn't match the desk, so he bought luxury chairs. Then the artwork looked cheap, so he bought new paintings. Before he knew it, Diderot had spent all his money and was in debt again. The purchase of one nice thing created a spiral of dissatisfaction with everything else. How does this apply to you in Q1 2026? You get a raise, so you buy a nice house in the suburbs. Fantastic. But you pull your 2016 Honda Civic into the driveway of your new nice house, and suddenly the car looks inadequate, so you finance a $60,000 SUV. Then you invite your friends over to your nice house, but you realize your old IKEA couch looks pathetic in your new living room, so you drop $4,000 at West Elm. Then you realize your TV looks tiny on that big wall. You see what's happening? The Diderot effect turns a single lifestyle upgrade into a cascade of relentless spending. And finally, we have the most dangerous psychological trap of all, the I deserve it trap. This is the one that gets the high earners. You work 50, 60 hours a week. You deal with a toxic boss. You answer Slack messages at 9 p.m. You're exhausted. So when Friday rolls around, you look at a $150 dinner bill or a $2,000 weekend trip and you say to yourself, look, I work hard, I'm stressed out, I make good money, I deserve this. Listen to me very carefully. You do deserve nice things. You do deserve to enjoy the fruits of your labor. But you know what you deserve more? You deserve to not wake up at 3 a.m. with chest pain wondering how you're going to pay off your credit card. You deserve the freedom to walk away from a toxic job without facing immediate bankruptcy. You deserve peace of mind when you use the I deserve it excuse to justify inflating your lifestyle to the absolute maximum limit of your income. You are trading your long-term freedom for a short-term dopamine hit. You are trapping yourself in a gilded cage. Yes, the cage has a BMW and organic groceries, but it's still a cage. You still have to wake up and spin the wheel every single day or the whole thing falls apart. All right, Billy, you've sufficiently yelled at me. You've depressed me. How do I fix it? How do I defeat Parkinson's law of money? Because the reality is you are going to get more raises. You are going to make more money over your lifetime. If you don't fix the system now, you will be making $250,000 a year a decade from now and still be sweating the electric bill. We have to break the law, and to do that, you need to implement 4 specific actionable steps starting the second this video ends. Step 1, create artificial scarcity. Remember the gas tank analogy? We want your brain to permanently think the financial gas tank is at a quarter full. You do this by paying yourself first, and I mean aggressively paying yourself first. Before the money ever hits your checking account, if you make $8,000 a month net, I do not want you to see $8,000 in your checking account on the first of the month, because if you see $8,000, your brain will find a way to spend $8,000. You need to automate your finances so that the moment you get paid, money is instantly routed away from your grubby little hands. Route 15% directly into your 401k before it hits your paycheck. Set up an automatic transfer at your bank so that the morning your paycheck hits, $500 gets automatically moved to a high-yield savings account at a completely different bank, an account where you don't have a debit card for it. Set up another transfer to push $500 into your Roth IRA or a brokerage account. By the time you look at your checking account on payday, you should only see $5,500. Your brain will look at that and say, okay, we only have $5,500 to survive on this month. Let's be efficient. You have successfully faked out your own psychology. You created scarcity, but the wealth is still being captured behind the scenes. Step 2, implement the 50% raise rule. This is the ultimate cure for lifestyle creep. Most people, when they get a raise, upgrade their life by 100% of the raise. If they get an extra $1,000 a month, they find $1,000 worth of new things to lease, rent, or eat. Some hyper-frugal financial gurus will tell you to save 100% of your raise and live exactly like a broke college student until you're 65. I think that's miserable. Here's the middle ground, the 50% rule. Every time you get a raise, a bonus, or a new client, you take exactly 50% of the net increase and permanently assign it to investing or debt payoff. The other 50%, go crazy. Upgrade your life. If your take-home pay goes up by $1,000 a month, you immediately increase your automatic investments by $500 a month. You never even see it. The remaining $500, go ahead. Get the nicer gym membership. Go to nicer restaurants. This guarantees that as your income grows, your wealth grows at the exact same pace as your lifestyle. You get to enjoy today while securing tomorrow. Step 3, zero-based budgeting. Parkinson's law thrives in the shadows. It thrives in ambiguity. If you don't know exactly where your money is going, Parkinson's law will push the expenses up to the limit. You need to use a zero-based budget. This means every single dollar of your income is assigned a specific job before the month even begins. Income minus expenses, minus savings, minus investments must equal 0. If you have $400 left over at the bottom of your spreadsheet, you haven't finished budgeting. You have to assign that $400. Give it a name. Is it going to the vacation fund? Is it going to the Vanguard Index Fund? Is it going to extra principal on the mortgage? If you don't give the dollar a job, the dollar will wander off and get spent on random Amazon purchases at 11:30 p.m. on a Tuesday. Give every dollar a job. Step 4. The 48-hour cooling off period. We need to break the Diderot effect. We need to stop the impulse upgrades. From now on, anytime you're going to make a non-essential purchase over $100, whether it's a new pair of shoes, a new gadget, or a booking for a weekend trip, you must wait 48 hours between putting it in your cart and hitting buy. Force the friction. What you'll find is that 80% of the time, the dopamine spike of wanting the item fades after a day or two. You wake up on the second day and realize, you know what? My current TV is actually totally fine. I don't need the OLED. If after 48 hours, you still truly want it and it fits in the budget you mapped out in step 3, buy it, guilt-free. But you have to enforce the cooling off period to ensure you are buying things out of actual utility, not just a biological urge to spend the money you have available. Look, I know I've been a little hard on you today, but I see so many incredibly bright, hardworking people making $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 a year who are absolutely miserable because they feel like they are trapped on an endless hamster wheel. They did everything right. They went to school, they got the job, they climbed the ladder, and the reward they got was just a more expensive form of broke. I don't want that for you. Beating Parkinson's law of money isn't about restriction. It's not about never having fun. It is about taking back control. It's about being intentional. When you decouple your spending from your you're earning, you achieve a level of financial invincibility that most people can't even fathom. Imagine the peace of making $150,000 a year, but living off $80,000. Imagine watching $70,000 a year pile up in investments, compounding, growing, turning into an unstoppable avalanche of wealth. That is the difference between looking rich and actually being wealthy. If you made it this far into the video, you clearly care about your financial future, and I respect the hell out of that. If this video opened your eyes or helped you reevaluate your finances, please hit that subscribe button. Give the video a thumbs up so the algorithm shares it with someone else who desperately needs to hear this today. Leave a comment below and tell me, what is one lifestyle creep expense you've fallen victim to, and what are you going to cut back on this month? I read every single comment. Until next time, control your money. Don't let your money control you. I'm Billy, and I'll see you in the next one.